Trump says Canada can dodge tariffs if they become a state. Of course Trump said this.
Like with Canada.
Of course he said it. Of course. I mean, why wouldn't he say that at this point? You know, we're going to have 4 more years of this. I'm just going to like nail that into your heads. We get 4 years of this. I'm going to talk about this for 4 years. I don't give a fuck.
Like with Canada, we lose $200 billion a year with Canada. That's because we allow them to make cars. We allow them to take lumber. We don't need their cars. We don't need their lumber. We don't need their food products because we make the same products right on the other side of the border. It's sort of crazy. So we've just allowed that, you know, bad management has allowed it over the last 4 years in particular to become very imbalanced. And I said I call him Governor Trudeau, but he's Prime Minister Trudeau when he was Prime Minister. I asked him, why would we do that? Why? And he was unable to give me an answer. He said, I don't know. And I said, do you think it's fair that we're paying $200 billion to keep Canada going? And what would happen, I asked him, what would happen if we didn't do that, if we didn't subsidize Canada? He said, we'd be a failed nation. And I said, then you should be a state. Because why are we paying all of that money to Canada when, you know, we could use it ourselves, right? So we take care of their military. You know, we're going to order about 40 Coast Guard big icebreakers, big ones. And all of a sudden, Canada wants a piece of the deal. They say, why are we doing that? I mean, I like doing that if they're a state, but I don't like doing that if they're a nation. Also, they've been very nasty to us on trade. Historically, Canada has been very, very bad to us, very unfair to us on trade. So we'll see how it all works out. I would love to see Canada be the 51st state. The Canadian citizens, if that happened, would get a very big tax cut, tremendous tax cut, because they're very highly taxed. And you wouldn't have to worry about military. You wouldn't have to worry about many of the things. You'd have better health coverage.
Let's consolidate that. Yeah, dude, let's consolidate it. I mean, the Canadians, they almost don't even have a choice at this point. Their people are hostages. I see the Canadian people as they're like hostages to the Canadian government. And I think that if everyone just got American prices, that alone, that start right there, they would really like that. I was talking to a Canadian friend of mine about this, and he's like, you know, that honestly doesn't sound so bad. I just don't want your gun laws. And it got me thinking. I'm like, oh yeah, that would open them up to different gun laws. But the way we do things in the United States is very territory based, and we can vote on our gun laws based off of, you know, where you live. So certain areas, they have completely outlawed guns, and other areas, you know, it's a free-for-all. Not trying to talk about whether that's right or wrong or anything. I don't care, okay? All I care about is that areas that feel a certain way about it can vote a certain way about it. So I feel like Canada would probably like a lot of the laws and benefits of being Americans, but then there's other things like gun laws they probably want nothing to do with. So, and they can vote accordingly, you know, if you think about it. On the other hand, I was talking to another Canadian friend of mine, and he was so offended about this whole thing with Trump, what Trump's been saying, bro. He was like, you don't fuck with someone's sovereignty, man. And he was so serious about it. And then I was like, that's interesting. So I've seen like both ends, you know, like most Canadians I've talked to actually think this is rad, or at the very least, they're super unhappy with their own government and they don't see any end in sight. They don't see a solution. Maybe some politician coming in, giving it a shot can try and turn things around for Canada, but they are so dependent on the United States. It's crazy. I think a lot of the dependency on the United States has enabled them to basically hold their own people hostage. I think that there's some positive changes in Canada's future, whether they do it themselves, I think that's possible, or it's through having a different type of relationship with the United States, possibly joining us, Canadian Americans, you know? I think that'd be sick. You know how much tourism would happen? So many Americans would go up north and spend so much fucking money. It would be crazy. I think it'd be a fantastic thing. You don't need a passport anymore. You just go. That'd be sick. I don't know. It'd be interesting. I'm all about shaking things up. I want to see the world get shaken up a little bit here. So I find a lot of this stuff exciting. Will Canada be a state or multiple states? I think maybe not in the next 4 years, but you know, the conversation has now officially been started about it. And I think that Canada is in a downward spiral economically, and that is going to give us a lot of leverage over them. And then if there's somebody in charge like Donald Trump that likes to use that leverage, he tends to want to use leverage on all the other countries instead of just being smooth sailing like we've been and letting everybody come in and take everything, I guess. I don't know, never really thought about it that way, but with Trump talking about it that way, it makes me think, you know what? Maybe we are kind of being taken advantage of by all the other countries. Let's squeeze them a little bit, you know?